Hello. Today is September 23rd, and we're doing business and robot. Was it business and robot? Business
It
and robot.
was
I almost said government, and I was like, that's not right. We just did government. Business.
business. So, of course, when we talk about business, almost every week we got to talk about Amazon. And Amazon is taking over the country
They're killing it.
because we're dependent on them for everything. And what they like is to have us dependent on them, but them be dependent on no one except themselves. And in that interest, they're taking over grocery and now shipping. And they're doing a really, really incredible thing that is bad news for UPS and FedEx and the Postal Service.
Amazon plans to put 1,000 warehouses in suburban neighborhoods. Ooh. This was, again, Bloomberg. The other version of the article I read said that they were also kicking this off by hiring 33,000 people pretty much immediately by the time you're watching this.
They had the applicants that showed up were overwhelmingly, like there were so many more than the jobs.
Yeah.
Everybody wants that job.
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest insult here is that almost all of these warehouses are within a stone's throw of a UPS hub.
Or a Walmart.
So they're like, hey, yeah, this is a good location. We'll have some land here. Thank you. Looking forward to that.
How long before Amazon just is like, we would buy UPS, but it's cheaper to just rip off their business model?
That's what they're doing. And they are doing it for cheaper. Now, those drivers are generally a lot crappier, you have to say.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
The other thing that was surprising for this is the article I read also mentions some of like the Walmart logistics network, that they borrowed some ideas from how Walmart manages their logistics network. But on the whole, if you look at like how computerized Walmart was, you remember like
The just in time.
yeah, I mean it was just, how did Amazon out Walmart? Because they're literally turning into Walmart in terms of their physical presence.
Walmart got complacent.
Yeah.
They didn't do the online thing. Like, it burned them.
Which is crazy because they were the first one. You remember they had like those giant IBM checkouts where it was just like, the vacuum tubes, like boop.
That's how it happens, man. You ever seen the Rocky movies? You become champ, you get soft. So now, who's the contender that's going to knock Bezos off his pedestal?
I don't think we've seen it yet.
Although I think remember, because he gave that speech and he was like, listen, someday Amazon will fall. It's our job to make it go as long as it possibly can.
Yeah.
And that is the attitude you have to have, I think.
He's definitely bought up anything that could even remotely compete with Amazon, like Whole Foods. It's like, a grocery store where people don't want the lowest price. Buy it.
It's almost like, it's anti-competitive when you just buy up all your competition.
And create a workforce that competes with the unionized workforce, but aggressively de-unionize them by spying on them. So, speaking of big business moves, when last we spoke, chat, it was almost sure it was in the bag. Microsoft and Walmart were getting TikTok. That's how it was going to go. But the last minute, no one knows why, a wild card.
TikTok picks Oracle over Microsoft in Trump-forced sales bid. Trump's ordered app owner will sell to its U.S. businesses over national security concerns. They're still figuring out how to divvy up the baby. Some of the internal TikTok stuff, that's not going to be part of this. Like some of the algorithm stuff and some of the internal stuff, they're going to get from TikTok's sister company in China and just package that up in an American application and distribute it that way.
TikTok picking Oracle just kind of confirms it's evil, right? Like,
I think,
I don't know what happened there.
I think Microsoft could do something useful technically with TikTok. Handing it to Oracle would be like me handing an iPad to my grandma. It's like, there's nothing that's going to happen with that.
Well, something's going to happen, but it's going to use a tiny, tiny amount of the iPad's power, and it's not going to be that useful.
Yeah.
Speaking of the iPad's power, it's getting more powerful. And the Air version is stepping up to the point that I don't know who's going to buy a Pro after this.
There isn't really very many features left in the Pro. The Pro would have to be super upgraded after this to compete. Apple today, there's the Apple event. They introduced a whole bunch of stuff. The first thing we're going to talk about they introduced was the iPad Air. Slimmer bezels and It's got a fingerprint reader in the button. It's basically got all the features of the iPad Pro, but it's way cheaper. Insanely way cheaper. Compatible with the Apple Pencil. Chris, I bet you're excited about that.
I mean, I'm not planning on replacing the one I have yet, but it's always nice to see innovation. That'll be nice in a few years when I upgrade.
It is basically the same one you already have, just in a slightly different form factor.
And cheaper.
Yeah.
And cheaper.
And cheaper. Yeah, that'll definitely be nicer too. For a lot of people ask us, like, what tablet should I get? I've seen some threads about that in the forum, and like, if you can afford it, the iPad Pro's worth it, but this would be a nice contender too if you're on a budget.
It's no longer worth it because of this one.
Yeah.
And it's an iPad.
Well,
I mean, it is an iPad, but the pencil really makes it worth it if you're doing illustration.
For like 0.05% of the population who's into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that you might be wanting to get from Apple, if you're going to refresh your whole Apple wardrobe, is the watch.
Apple announces the Apple Watch Series 6 with the ability to measure blood oxygen levels. Now, Apple has already seeded this to all kinds of YouTubers and other people, so there's all sorts of fun and interesting articles about it. The Verge has their hands on, but let's face it, The Verge is the antithesis of technical. So check out some of the other material and content. But the blood oxygen sensor, that's long overdue, in my opinion.
Do you think they added the blood oxygen thing because of the pandemic?
Yes.
But here's the question.
Hilarious.
Here's your engagement challenge, chat. Annually, what will the data of all Apple Watch users' blood oxygen levels be worth when Apple resells it?
You know what's funny in the press thing? They made it. They talked for about a minute about how they're not all of this stuff lives on the device. So like even your recommendations, like it pops up and it's like, you know, hey fatty, how about some cardio? They said all of that is happening right on the phone.
Oh yeah, I believe that. Totally. Sure. And everything might be happening on the phone, but one thing won't be happening in the box.
Apple is removing the USB power adapter from the upcoming Apple Watch boxes. It's only a matter of time before that happens to the iPhones and the iPads and literally everything else. Apple was saying, look, we want to be responsible, and
Right.
we're working with oil companies to reduce our carbon emissions. Wait a minute. What? Working with oil companies to reduce your carbon emissions? They also were very careful to skirt the batteries. They were like, when we exclude the batteries, look at how responsible we are. And it was like, but what about the batteries? It's like, we're not using beryllium or lithium or mercury or anything like that. I was like, but what about the battery manufacturing? It's like, we're working on that.
Yeah, but we're gonna save the planet by
And you're gonna pay for it.
Exactly.
That's like Mexico and the wall. It's like, we're gonna build that. They're gonna pay for it.
Oh yeah, we're not gonna get if he loses, the wall is officially done, huh?
Yeah.
Didn't get it.
Rip in peace.
Can't say that I think it was going to be effective. So it's not all sunshine and apple pie in the Apple world. I didn't mean to say apple twice there. There are some darkness. They are still fighting some battles. One of the biggest one that's raging right now is, of course, with Epic. And boy, do they love throwing out barbs at each other in the press.
Apple says that Epic is a saboteur, not a martyr, in the App Store battle. So Bloomberg has got this week's update on the court filings. This is getting kind of intense in the run-up to the September 28th. I think the first hearing is September 28th. So it's right around the corner. And Apple is saying, no, look, Epic, this is a calculated move for business. Don't feel bad for Epic, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, if Epic gets its way, it is going to be better for all developers everywhere.
But that's not the worst thing you can say about Epic. The worst thing you can say, the thing that hurts the most, and there might be more than a grain of truth to it, is not that they're evil, it's that they're not going to matter soon.
Apple says the Fortnite hype is fading, and the only reason Epic Games started a legal battle was to generate buzz. I think this headline is half right. I think the Fortnite hype is fading, but I think that Epic Games wants a launcher on an iPad, just like they've got the Epic Games launcher on their desktop. Just like like the Microsoft launcher, where, you've got the games from Microsoft and its subscription service and blah, blah, blah.
Or
Epic,
Steam or, yeah.
We've gotten a few free games from the Epic launcher just by logging in at the right time.
A few.
Well,
I've got a massive library. I've never given them $1. That's not true. I bought like 2 games.
Epic wants the same thing because it turns out that is a moneymaker. Epic makes all of their money from V-Bucks and the in-game customization and trinkets and crap like that. None of the other stuff matters. And so they want to have their own Epic App Store, and they've got the game library to do it. But with Apple as gatekeeper, that's 30% off the top.
Yeah, I'm shocked that Fortnite is still as relevant as it is. Now, they point out in the article it's a 70% drop from last year, I think. Maybe it was a shorter amount of time. But that's only for Apple users. I don't know about like desktop and...
Well, I think they used they said that they looked at it by search too, not necessarily how many people had it installed. I know lots of people who still play it every day.
Yeah, the time to search would be far from over, right? Because if you don't know about it by now,
yeah,
people just have it installed and they're using it. I don't know. I hate Fortnite. I don't understand but there's a lot of things I don't understand that are popular. So, what do I know? The other big tech. It's not a battle. This was an agreement, but it's becoming a battle. Because it seems like everybody except for these two companies don't want this to happen.
ARM co-founder starts Save ARM campaign to keep independence amid a $40 billion Nvidia deal. So I don't, a lot of this guy's arguments are undermined by the fact that it was sold to SoftBank before, a Japanese company. So he's like, what about the UK jobs? And what about blah, blah, blah? And we need, we have some concerns. Yeah, but you sold it to SoftBank. You didn't have those concerns then? You would have built it into the sale agreement, wouldn't you?
The big argument is ARM is a UK company, and now it's going to be a US company. And that's their only big chip maker in the UK. And so they're like, hey, we don't want the White House to be in control. This is not fair. What about the workers? And like you say, that ship sailed a long time ago. The staff have voiced their complaints, and it seems like everybody involved at the high levels are like, yeah, right. Whatever. Go back to your hole.
Cambridge staff fobbed off at meeting over ARM sale to Nvidia, the union says. This is in The Guardian. So I tried to find more about this, and it seems to be an even split. There are some people at ARM who are excited about this move because there's nowhere to go there's nowhere to go but up because Nvidia gives ARM a lot of stuff that they wouldn't have had on their own. But there are some people that work for ARM that are concerned like their job would leave or would leave the country or anything like that. So this was mainly the union. The union was doing most of the saber rattling here in this Guardian article. But there are other blog posts from employees, and I can't tell if they've been prompted to do this by ARM or if it's just genuine. But some of the ARM employees' posts that I've read and some of the other articles say that they're really excited for the deal. So I don't know.
Yeah, if you're going to get some stock options, now's the time, right? Nvidia stock's pretty nice. They have also, I think the union is losing power in this whole thing, and they're fighting to hang on to that. So yeah, we'll see. The people at ARM, not the people at Nvidia, have said all your jobs are safe. Everything's going to stay in this country. It's going to go on like it has been. But they've only said that. There's nothing guaranteeing that. They can say whatever they want. They're going to be on a beach somewhere in 3 weeks.
Jensen needs to fly over and be like, this is what we're going to do. And then everybody will feel good about it.
But that is not the most exciting thing about Nvidia for most people this week. Jesus Christ, the hype on... I really don't like the hype train. But this one it's extra disgusting. But it seems like it's actually for real. This is pretty amazing.
No. The Nvidia GeForce RTX 3080 review. Ampere is a gaming monster. This is from Hot Hardware. The Ryan-approved headline is, it's only 30% faster with 10,000 CUDA cores. What's wrong? So, thing's a power monster. It's some of the press material from Nvidia said it's twice as fast. It's only twice as fast in RTX-enabled things because it's doing lots of shenanigans with AI and a bunch of other really mostly software, some hardware optimization. It does have some new AI stuff, things like that. But it is faster than a 2080 Ti. But it also uses more power than a 2080 Ti. So
it's faster than the Titan, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, the 3090 isn't even out yet. So that one will be the one to look at. That one's the one to compare to the Titan because of the VRAM. Because the 3080 right now only has 10 gigs of VRAM. But
it is the fastest car.
Yeah.
But people don't care about the core count and all the stuff you're talking about. People, is it the fastest?
Yeah. I think that it's going to be, people last gen where they were like a 700 watt power supply is all you need or a 600 watt power supply is all you need. They're going to have problems now because the card is using like 100 watts more than the 2080 Ti. So depending on what kind of a power supply you got in your last system, upgrading to the 3080 might be problematic.
We can all agree that those people are losers.
It's also the price. The price is, I was genuinely surprised that the price is what it is. It makes it seem like it's a good price, but only because I think the 2000 series was priced so high.
But are you going to be able to get them, though? That's the big thing.
Yeah, they all sold out immediately.
What price are you going to pay?
Yeah.
That's the issue with video cards, especially these days.
I have two friends who've been trying to find one, and they're both like, we can't find it anywhere. And I'm like, well, you're just going to have to wait. Like,
oh, you skipped the Verge article. I thought you did that to optimize.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
I noticed that as well.
Yeah, well, so if you're following along on the one tab. Sorry. This is just a great story because the phone companies are out of ideas, clearly. And
Thing's awful.
they have this, I think they have this sort of like meta idea. It's like, it's something with the screens. Something with the screens is going to get them. I don't know exactly what. Just throw what you can against the wall, but with the screens.
The LG Wings twisting screen offers a new spin on the dual screen smartphone. So when it's folded, it's stacked, and when it's unfolded, stacked, and then so yeah, you've got a screen on the bottom that's like a keyboard, but actually another screen.
Now here's a question: what do you think happens when you drop that in the T formation?
It explodes.
Yeah. Also, what if you get a little grain of dirt or sand in between? How close are these two screens together?
You're gonna have circular scratches in your screen.
That seems like a big problem to me.
This thing is like the maxi pad of phones. It's even got wings. Like,
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not. It's been so long since I've seen those advertisements. Yeah. The wings.
yeah, that's what it looks like.
For your heaviest days.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're excited about weird rotating phones, what about if the catch gets broken and it won't stay? That's a $99 repair. The other big pre-order, and apparently these pre-orders are also completely already, you can't get them. Don't even bother trying. Gateway timeout for all the websites where you were trying, because people are just hammering them so hard. Now, last week we talked about Xbox. Xbox is launching November 11th, and the big question is, what about Sony? What are they going to do? And pretty close.
PlayStation 5 launches November 12th for $499. The PS5 Digital Edition will cost $399. So yeah, both consoles, the Xbox and the PlayStation, have a digital option. So it's got to be bad news for GameStop.
Also, I suspect many of these discs, or it's going to be one of those things where it's just an installer.
Yeah.
Which is so disgusting. But yeah.
It's bad news for America's internet infrastructure too. Can't wait for those Netflix dilettantes to come out and be like, no, Microsoft should totally have to pay more for being able to download games through your ISP that you pay monthly service fee for.
Also, could be a little bit rough getting that pre-order delivery, considering that's right after the election.
Oh yeah. Will we even still have a postal service by then?
I don't know.
Buy and eat stamps to support the post office. Consume stamps.
I really think that the post office should have come up with like some cynical but tongue-in-cheek humor items like backpacks and caps and stuff, and just thrown that up on the website. Just be like, we're having a bake sale for a mail sorting machine. Can you go buy some hats and some baked goods?
What about
store.level1.com?
here's a great idea. Like when the post-election riots happen, the Postal Service, as they're still making deliveries during that difficult time, their new slogan can be, when the ship hits the fan. They could have a little promotional video where there's one's that got an umbrella, dodging through fire and tear gas and popping a letter in a mailbox.
He smiles big at the camera.
I just rearranged 2 more stories. Calling audibles all over the place. because I figured this was the better one to start with. Now, when it comes to, of course, everybody wants to get their new hardware out this time of year. It's the holiday season. It's the time. It's the time when you release new hardware, and Oculus is no different. Now, if you'll recall, the Oculus, what was the name of it? Oculus something. It was their big event, and it was supposed to be all about the Oculus. But Facebook said, we're not going to call it that anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's the Facebook event.
Yeah. Oculus Quest 2 offers a more powerful standalone VR headset for $299. So apparently they are still going to use the Oculus moniker, even though they're moving away from it, because this is the Oculus standalone VR headset.
They probably already had it printed on the boxes. They already had the boxes made. This is battery powered, no longer tethered. And I guess it's wireless altogether. Interesting.
Is it going to be crap?
They say it's going to be better than the current one, and they are going to stop selling the current one. There's a video here. I didn't watch it.
It's going to be bad for people that have the 8-hour streams of Beat Saber.
90 hertz refresh rate, but not yet. Better resolution. It's a iterative step.
1832 by 1920.
Is that cheaper than the old one?
Yeah, by a lot.
Yeah. The old one was like at least 500, right?
Yeah, it was a lot.
More if you bought all
Much
the...
better price point.
And we got the Pro version, which was markedly better than the other one that I tried, which is the non-Pro version, when we borrowed the one from the fans.
So that's not all that Facebook is doing when it comes to the virtual reality world. They are also trying... So many people have failed. No one can get this right. But I guess Facebook's going to try it out.
Facebook's going to release its first augmented reality glasses in 2021. You truly can be a glass hole with Facebook's new product.
A glass hole.
They do not have a picture of it. Now, they are partnering with Luxottica and I think Ray-Ban.
In an effort to give them an impossible task. Like, we need you to turn this headgear that looks like somebody's been in a terrible accident and turn it into something that's fashionable.
This is the dev version. It's a little thick.
I think it looks it looks perfectly reasonably Jeff Goldblum.
It's got a very obvious camera right there, or some kind of sensor. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to make that socially acceptable. Google's was not that big.
It was pretty big.
But yeah, people just aren't going to go for that. Sorry. This article was kind of a little bit meta and didn't give as much information as I thought. But I think it's kind of a bit of a darkness on the horizon for Microsoft. For anybody who wants just an operating system that doesn't try to take over their lives.
I'll read the headline, but I have questions. Microsoft is looking to make MetaOS, or I messed that up. How Microsoft is looking to MetaOS to make Microsoft 365 a whole life experience. And so, what Microsoft is envisioning here is you're using Microsoft 365, which is like chat and instant messenger as well as email, sort of all rolled up in one, plus document management, plus your own personal wiki and OneNote and all this other stuff, but also like doing that kind of stuff with your family. And so their vision for this is that you've just got this connected layer that's on your laptop and your phone and your TV and your desktop and everything else, and all of those devices know exactly who you are, and you've always got access to your account and your stuff. Beyond just having sort of the separate services, you almost get this like service soup of chat and email and then document management and everything else. And not just you, but also your family. So you can share stuff with your family and they can see things and move around and it's more natural. But Microsoft didn't really provide any concrete way or concrete description of like how they're going to do that or leverage technologies or anything else, other than to say that this is going to be a fundamental component of all operating systems across all devices. And I just don't see how they're going to pull that off.
Now here's a question. I don't think they would do this. Certainly not. But do you think, could there be a possibility they would mine that for data?
Never. They would never do that.
I think they totally would. I think that's like the holy grail. It's like you have the thing, and it's like, you know, hey, Microsoft Assistant or Cortana or whatever, I'm looking at buying a new stove. And then it's like the marketing dinner bell goes off, and there's just a whole marketing team inside Microsoft. It's like this person suddenly went to being extremely valuable because we can get a commission if we can sell him a stove.
On the the future operating system front, it's looking a little dark in the Microsoft world, but at least on the server, and they have been doing this in Windows too, they are making more and more concessions to Linux.
Microsoft submits Linux kernel patches for a complete virtualization stack with Linux and Hyper-V. Linux on Azure might no longer need Windows. And so what they're looking at doing is being able to run Linux in Ring 0 in a hypervisor stack. So at the very lowest level, you would still have a Microsoft, sort of very thin layer at layer -1. But layer 0 has direct access to the hardware. And so they're going to be leveraging the Linux kernel to handle all of those VMs and handle the hardware. This is more like a Zen approach than KVM or even what VMware is doing, but it would be at a very low level in Hyper-V. And then Hyper-V that's running Linux guests, it's going to be a more natural ecosystem to be able to support that. And then, of course, Windows doesn't care because Windows is already a little, at higher levels in the hypervisor.
And when you do host on Azure, your instance might not be in a stuffy data center anymore. It's going to be somewhere a lot more exciting, and you might think more dangerous, but this test seems to prove that is not the case.
Microsoft's underwater data center resurfaces after 2 years. It had only an 8% failure rate, which was considerably lower than the equivalent data center elsewhere. Now, the difference here is that when you had a server die or a hard drive die in this data center, nobody's going to fix it for years. One of the reasons for that is maybe because there were no humans present in the data center. They literally evacuated the oxygen and filled the thing with nitrogen, which might also be part of why.
It's not loading the images, and that's... Oh, there we go. Something went wrong.
They're pressure washing it.
Had some barnacles and some algae on it.
As Windows does when Windows is used for a while.
Looks pretty good for 2 years under the water, though.
Under the sea?
So they found out the cooling is super cost effective. This was run on all renewable energy because it's in Ireland. And everything was great.
Surprisingly low failure rate.
Time to sink more of these.
The only good news we have from 2020 this year.
I wanted to know, was there a whole underwater ecosystem that was built around the warmth of that tube?
From the number of barnacles and stuff on it? Yeah, seems like it.
There was just a little holocaust down there as they pulled away their life source.
Can you imagine if it had catastrophic failure? Like you had that one, that one mollusk that was like really just hammering one little spot, and then you get like a dime-sized hole in the thing, and then it's like, oh no, what's happening?
I'm sure we'll see that. Because they're talking about scaling it up. The bigger you make that, the more possibility you introduce. So we talked about Nikola last week, the other EV car company that took the other name from the guy. And the Hindenburg, this short-selling research...
Completely not unironically named.
Yeah, well, they put in their frequently asked questions. It's like, we look for the disasters. That's our thing. So they said it was all fake. Now, this guy came out, Milton came out, it's like, no, it's not all fake. You try to get in front of it. It's not everything they said was false. And they were like, well, what about the truck? Did the truck run? You said exactly the truck is fully powered. You made a big deal about it. You didn't just say one statement about it. You said, oh no, I hope nobody steals it. We better put up some chains and stuff. We definitely drove it in here. Was that true? And he didn't have a choice.
No, the answer was no. Ars Technica has the headline, Nikola admits prototype was rolling downhill in promotional video. If I saw that video, I would have never guessed that was a hill.
Well, that's because they rotated the camera to compensate.
That's why the grass is growing at a weird angle.
See those bushes back there? Look at these bushes.
Yeah, it's just rolling downhill.
It's windswept. Don't question it.
So I guess it had brakes.
Yeah, well, the only thing they didn't have was electric motors and a transmission, I think.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty big component.
Big part of it. Now, he has said, listen, that was the old version. We're not even working on that truck anymore. We have a new kind of truck. But the thing about the new truck is it's all third-party pieces. They didn't develop any of it. So, more bad news for them. Although they did bring it on themselves.
They did.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some investment bank that went out of business because their algorithm was like, let's invest everything in Nikola, and then they had their press event, and then it was just their stock was worthless, or their options were worthless, or something.
I don't know.
The puts were worthless.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. So in the modern day, you have to be really careful about what you say. It seems that almost everything is offensive to somebody, and oh boy, if you say it, the mob might come after you. And Nintendo wants to help its users out by preventing that from happening when they're using their Switch.
Nintendo Switch update bans more words and phrases. Yeah, that's a thing that we have to look forward to.
Now, we obviously can't say some of these. One of the things is the thing that we're not allowed to say.
You can't say that on a Switch?
KKK,
What?
that's an obvious one. ACAB, I had to look up. Do you know what it is?
No.
I know what it is.
All cops are bastards.
Oh.
Not allowed
They're
to
hitting both sides there.
not allowed to express that thought on the old on the Switch.
Or YouTube.
So, unfortunate. If you want to spew racial vitriol, take it like everybody else to Xbox Live. That's where it belongs.
Apparently.
We talked about the Gateway laptops coming back last week, and Acer, of course, owns that. But there was some speculation about, is Acer building these laptops? What exactly are these going to be? And Ars Technica has done some investigative reporting.
We found out who makes Walmart's new Gateway laptops, and it's bad news. We'll give you 3 guesses, and here's a hint. Extra virgin olive oil. If you guessed EVOO, yeah.
I read that headline, I was like, is it an Italian company?
No.
Confused.
It's like the worst. This is literal garbage. Literal garbage.
Now, they point out that this company, it's like, okay, how do they know that? Are they making them? Has there been a press release? No. What they found was a shipment of laptops with the exact same specs, half being EVOs and half being gateways, and the same shipping container shipping to the same warehouse. So it seems like they just rebranded some of the worst laptops in the universe and are selling them at Walmart.
Oh, man. Point me to the old Gateway commercials on YouTube, because now we can, deep fakes them or something with these new laptops, and it's just going to be, it's like all the power of Gateway from 2004 in 2020.
Well, maybe they should take the old name back, Gateway 2000, because that's what you're getting.
It sounds so futuristic.
This laptop is perfect for Windows 95.
And we only have, unfortunately, just 2 robot articles this week. It was a low robot week. But one of them has to do with, these darkest of times. It turns out that when your workforce is, down and out and susceptible to a virus, guess what isn't?
At least not the same kind of virus.
Yeah,
Ransomware. Bloomberg has this article that the thing that we're in may permanently replace some human jobs with machines. This is obvious. It seems like some variation of this story comes up about every 2 to 3 weeks in the Level 1 news. But this one's in Bloomberg, so it's a little more mainstream. And it has some specific examples where companies have adjusted. Amazon with their warehouse robots and all this other stuff, everything has adjusted. So it's a little bit of a nothing burger here.
And one of those jobs, again, and this comes up all the time, but no one has ever gotten it 100% right, it seems. This one seems to do a pretty good job. And I think the problem here is you still have to get it yourself.
That's okay.
I am fine with that. Unfortunately, though, the other problem on top of that is they can do 4 tables at a time, which means if I'm table number 4, there's 3 chances for people to accidentally or purposely mess with my food.
AI robot serves customers at a Seoul restaurant. I don't know if I said that right. Pronounced that right.
I think it's just Seoul.
Seoul.
Is it just Seoul?
Seoul restaurant.
So it's basically a tray on wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, the word robot, applicable, but
I'm moving to the waiting place.
Minimalist. So it comes over, and they do have some earlier footage here. People, you do have to bust your own.
The chef or whoever puts the food on it, and then it goes to the table, and then you get your own food, which I would be fine with. On all honesty,
Yeah, it's not that.
Yeah, this isn't bad at all.
And this minimizes human contact, which again seems like for the win.
Now, how does it deal with when I need a refill? It shows them using a tablet here.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how you do all that?
Yeah, hit a button and
Yeah.
another one comes over.
But then you have to like constantly sanitize the tablet.
Oh, well,
I could
but
use my own
just
phone.
for your visit. Yeah, that's true. It should be an app.
That is one thing that has dramatically improved. Have you noticed? I mean, the app development companies must be working double overtime because a lot of the restaurant apps from earlier this year to now, there have been some dramatic improvements.
Yeah.
Because that's what else they're going to do. You got to have that income. I still have not broken down. Like, when I think about, for example, Chick-fil-A, every time I'm in line at Chick-fil-A, I'm like, I should just get the app. But then I think to myself, I don't need that much Chick-fil-A in my life. I should not do that. I should not make this a more convenient experience.
Chick-fil-A is the one place where you don't need the app. I've done takeout from there about 4 times since this whole thing started, and every time has been a dramatic improvement. And like, for some reason, I was craving it really bad the other day, but the building was like double wrapped, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to get through this in an hour." But I really,
15
I just,
minutes.
yeah, it's like I don't care. I'm going to do this, and it was like immediate. Like I got in there and it was just.
It's when they send the people out.
Yeah,
that's the key, because there's no the problem with the drive-through is that human stupidity is cumulative. It compounds. So somebody who's just an idiot sitting there at the box talking to it, not able to get to communicate like a human being, is going to cause a problem. Somebody at the window is going to cause a problem, and the fact that you're just sitting still anyway, and that stupidity can be all borne out during the sitting phase. It solves everything. Whoever came up with that is a genius.
Yeah, well, also just the volume of food coming out of that relatively tiny restaurant. Like, did they turn the entire building into a kitchen? Because the volume of production is just phenomenal.
Well, but the thing about Chick-fil-A is they're not making a lot of items. They're just frying chicken at a rapid pace. There's someone in there, and he's just covered with grease burns and whip marks on his back, and he's just cranking out those delicious sandwiches.
Well, they are fast, even though it looks like they would be swamped, so it's genuinely very impressive.
They got to be making so much money.
It's like, yeah, I hope this continues. Like, not too many people wear a mask now. The numbers are really good in Q2.
All right, well, that's all we got for that one.
We'll see you Friday with nonsense.
Oh yeah, Level 1 techs. It's Friday every day when you're with us.
I'm just watching flooding footage on this Reuters. The videos turned over. Krista, did you say bye? You say it again.
I did. I whispered it though. I was bye.